Over the next 60 minutes, we are going to have deep, intense, much needed conversations on an issue that has to stand at the larger picture, whose complexity and historicity we have to appreciate for us to be able to make progress. And the reason I say complexity and historicity, because the entire pivot of the culmination of human order and civilization has been going on in an evolutionary way. We are neither at the beginning nor at the end. There is a lot of figuring out in this grand transformation that we are yet to do. So what is the grand transformation of which I speak? Ladies and gentlemen, till the 1940s, India as a sovereign, independent, democratic republic did not exist. There were three countries that were born famously and infamously in the 40s: India, Pakistan, and 2 years later, the People's Republic of China. The concept of a modern nation state is not very old, maybe 100, 150. You can argue French Revolution, you can argue US independence, but a couple of 100 years. Religion predates all the concurrent nation states in the world, all of them. And there was a time where, because sovereign boundaries were fluid, they were part of kingdoms and empires, that the first codes of how to live your life, of morality, of ethics, indeed perhaps even of law, were given by religion. The testaments, old and new, the Sharia codes, every religion, from Hinduism to Sikhism, teaches you right and wrong, good and evil, what's okay, what's not okay, what's moral, what's immoral, in an attempt to give guidance of certain civilizational standards we can all agree on. So the 2,000, 2,500, 4,000 years of this complex religio-cultural history is now facing a modern reality of the nation state, whose sovereign laws and boundaries exist. Let me give you an example of this. In the year 1570, Pope Pius V issued a papal bull excommunicating Elizabeth I as well as all the residents of England from the Catholic faith. When we say the word excommunicating, what does that mean? That meant that the bishops and the cardinals, which were not appointed by the head of state but were appointed by the head of the Catholic Church, the Bishop of Rome, also known as the Pope, who holds the St. Peter's keys to heaven, that this parallel structure which existed within these states would cease to give last rites, baptism, marriage ceremonies to the population of that country. In this case, it was England. Elizabeth's father, Henry VIII, made this very popular lament, and he said, and I quote, "I thought you were my subjects, I have realized you are scarce half my subjects," because half of the loyalty, at least in terms of religion, was still in Rome. The modern nation state now gives us a constitution, gives us laws, gives us the code through those laws of ethics, right, wrong, what is criminal, what is not criminal, what is positive, what is discriminatory. And it should, and in many countries like India, it seeks to transcend religion. So we are not yet at the culmination of the transition from a period of life which for several centuries was governed by the rules of faith to a point where the nation state, and in the larger realm of 5,000 years of relevant Indian history, the modern Indian state is only 80 odd years old. We have not completed that transition. It's true here, it's true everywhere else. So we have to take a step forward in understanding how this transition is to happen. In 1952, on the 7th of April, a body listed as a non-governmental organization was created by Muhammad Taib Kazmi and Minnatullah Rahmani. It was given the name the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. Its purpose in its founding documents was to protect and promote the application of Muslim personal law in India. Its very presupposition was that Muslim personal law is not only distinct from the rites and ceremonies of Hindus and Christians and Sikhs and Jains and others, but it is distinct from the architecture of legal jurisprudence that is being created in the Democratic Republic of India. This body now is just under 70 years old, in fact just over 70 years old. And for some reason, open to conjecture and conversation, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board is seen as the last word, epitome, paragon, the holy of holies, who feel abrogated unto themselves. They themselves have decided that we and the 50 odd permanent members and the 200 odd ulama that make the general body and the executive structure of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, that we are the only people who can decide on crucial issues. And what are the crucial issues? Not different: marriage, divorce, consecration of holy grounds, last rites, birth rights, the traditions when you come of age, that these are going to be governed by a body that has abrogated itself to choose. It's not an elected body. It's not like the 200 odd million Muslims in the country elect this body. The point of dispute then arises that if somebody who is of the Muslim faith does not agree with the premise of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board and the chain of ulama that then devolved from it, do they have the right of legal recourse of doing things a different way and go to the constitutional structures, at the apex of which sits the Supreme Court of India? Remember, the Supreme Court, you can even sue the Union Government of India in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decides even on constitutional matters. So the apex of that jurisprudence and appellate structure is the Supreme Court of India. Now, those who believe in the logic of the modern nation state would say, yes, absolutely, it is the structure of India which by definition should be agnostic of religion, that provides the codes of law in a shared morality where ritual and practice can be different. I'll give you an example. You can choose to get married through a nikah ceremony, or you can choose to get married by taking, if you are Hindu, 7 trips around the fire, if you are Sikh, 4 trips around the fire with the Guru Granth Sahib. The rituals are up to you, But once you are declared married, registered married, the realms of civil procedure are open to all faiths. So now here we are in 2023 talking about the Uniform Civil Code. And an assumption of either disinformation or misinformation has made to allude it that the Uniform Civil Code by definition means a Hindu code for everyone. That's not what it means. And the reason that assumption and misinformation is being circulated is because the only legally codified civil code is currently the Hindu Marriages Act, the Hindu Succession Act. There isn't one replicable for the other minority faiths of this country. The Uniform Civil Code does not mean Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Jains, all of them have to follow the Hindu Marriages Act or the Hindu Succession Act. It means there will be a different act that replaces and subsumes them all. Within this, we have to now understand a fundamental question. If in 1952, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board decided that it is going to become the authority on the last word on the matters of Muslim personal law, and for 70-80 years, generations of careers have been made by those people who've kept that power to themselves, does this body then have a legitimate interest in making themselves or demoting themselves from that job? And if the answer is no, it is not in the interest of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board to remove the powers that they themselves have abrogated, that means that they have brought to themselves, then will the members of this be proactive participants in a conversation on a uniform civil code, or will they be individuals who have a motivated interest to make sure it doesn't happen? Within this context, let's open up this conversation. Let's try to have it one by one with the people who are with us. First up is Nida Khan. Nida Khan is an individual who, having experienced the unfairness, the arbitrariness, the patriarchy of Triple Talaq, fought back, went through the jurisprudence system of this country and was witness to it changing in the laws that now ban Triple Talaq. Nida Khan ji, what has been your experience with this body formed in 1952, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board?
Firstly, hi, thank you so much for joining me. I want to say that All India Personal Law, basically सारी दिक्कतें यहीं से शुरू हुई हैं. They never consider about the women, they always consider about the males. This is the basic problem. अगर ट्रिपल तलाक की बात करी जाए, अगर उन्होंने ही कोई इनिशिएटिव लिया होता तो आज उसके लॉ की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. ठीक है, साथ ही साथ उन्होंने कभी इस बारे में बात नहीं करी, जैसे पॉलीगैमी के बारे में बात करी जाए कि आप अपनी पहली बीवी की राइट्स डिनाई करके अपनी सेकंड वाइफ को दे रहे हैं, तो ये कहाँ तक सही है? तो जो यूसीसी को सपोर्ट करने वाली बात है, तो ये यहीं से शुरू होती है कि जहाँ ट्रिपल तलाक चीज, मतलब उस टाइम में हमारे पास कोई फ्रेम नहीं था कि उसका क्या होगा, क्या लॉ होगा, कैसे नहीं होगा, लेकिन स्टिल इंडिविजुअली सबने सपोर्ट किया जो भी विक्टिम्स.
ओके, सो निदा जी, आई वांट टू टेक इट स्टेप बाय स्टेप. तो हम थोड़ा एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव कन्वर्सेशन करें. सो लेट्स से अब 3 तलाक का नोटिस आ गया, चाहे व्हाट्सएप से आया, टेलीग्राम से आया, फोन कॉल पे आया, आ गया, ठीक है. उसके बाद आपका क्या सिस्टम था? किसके पास आप उलेमा के पास जाते हैं, फैमिली सीनियर के पास जाते हैं? एक बारी आ गया तो आपका सिस्टम क्या हो जिसमें आपने बोला कि देखिए कौन होगी आर्बिट्रेटिंग पार्टी? सबसे पहले कदम आपने किसके पास गए? किसी उलेमा पे गए? किसके पास गए आप?
वेरी वेल, दैट उलमा, मतलब आई वेंट टू द उलमास, ठीक है, एंड ही आल्सो बिलोंग्स टू अ फैमिली ऑफ स्कूल ऑफ थॉट्स. तो मैं उलमास के पास गई, मैंने कहा कि तलाक है, और मैंने सुना नहीं है, लेकिन तीसरे बंदे ने मुझसे आके कहा है कि उसने तलाक दे दिया है. तो उलमास का कहना था कि नहीं, इस तरीके के तलाक हो जाते हैं और हमारे में एक्सेप्टेबल है, तो आपका तलाक हो गया है। मैं कहा ठीक है, सिर्फ सेकंड स्टेप मेहर सामान ये कैसे वापस होगा? तो उनका कहने का कि वो देता है तो ठीक है, वरना अल्लाह के घर उसका हिसाब होगा। तो इस तरीके से ये हुआ।
तो सबसे पहला कदम आप नहीं पुलिस पे, नहीं कोर्ट पे, नहीं लॉयर के पास, नहीं, सबसे पहले आप उलेमा पे गए और उलेमा ने आपको एडवाइस दी कि देखिए ऐसा अलाउड है और अगर आपको मेहर वापस मिल गई तो मिल गई, नहीं मिली तो कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है। उसके बाद फिर इसको आपने एस्केलेट किया एट व्हाट, इसके बाद कहां गए? एट डिड यू गो टू द मेंबर्स ऑफ द ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड, वहां तक आप पहुंचे?
वहां की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी, क्योंकि पहली बात तो है कि जो इसके बाद हमारी बात हुई थी ट्रिपल तलाक को लेके, तो हम लोग ने फिर उस टाइम हमारे पास कोई लॉ नहीं था बेसिकली, और इसको एक्सेप्ट करना ही करना था। आप चाह के भी नहीं एक्सेप्ट करो या ना चाह के एक्सेप्ट करो, मतलब आपको एक्सेप्ट करना है। रही बात आपकी बाकी चीजें, जैसे आपका वो हो गया मेहर हो गया या फिर सामान हो गया, जो भी है वो आप देख लीजिए कि आपको माफ करना है या फिर आप फॉट बैक करेंगे, जैसे चाहे। तो उस टाइम मेरा जो स्टेप था कि मैंने उस तलाक को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करा, क्योंकि मुझे लगा जिस तलाक को मैंने सुना नहीं है, ठीक है, उसको मैं एक्सेप्ट क्यों करूं? ठीक है, जिसकी जो साथ में गाइडलाइंस है वो फुलफिल नहीं हुई है, तो मैं क्यों इस तलाक को मानूं? क्योंकि तलाक के साथ तो मेहर भी आता है, तो मेहर तो नहीं दे रहे हो तो मैं तलाक किस तरीके से मान लूं? तो इस तरीके से मैंने स्टेप टू स्टेप आगे बढ़ी।
तो अगला कदम क्या था? उलेमा के बाद अगला कदम क्या था? आपके पास ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड की क्या रेलेवेंसी थी?
पहली बात तो है कि ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ में मतलब जो मेरे लॉज थे वो पहले से ही इन्वॉल्व थे, ठीक है, क्योंकि वो स्कूल ऑफ थॉट्स में से हैं, तो उनसे ही बात करना मतलब एक तरीके से उनका ही आंसर था, ठीक है। फिर मैंने एक जवाब डाला दारुल उलमा में कि अगर इस तरीके का कोई तलाक है और अगर ऐसा ऐसा होता है तो उसका जवाब क्या है। तो पहली बात तो उन्होंने जवाब देने से ही मना कर दिया, ठीक है, साफ रिफ्यूजल था, और बोल दिया बस उनके पास अगर आप किसी की जाति के मतलब कोई आदमी ने अगर किसी औरत के साथ जाति करी तो उसका सिर्फ एक ही जवाब होता है कि उसका अल्लाह हिसाब करेगा, ठीक है, आपको जरूरत नहीं उसका फॉट बैक करने की, जो मैंने यहाँ सुना है।
ओके, फिर कब कदम आया जब आपको मिला कि देखिए हम उलेमा पे गए, ठीक है, उनके खानदानी रिश्ता पति का AIMPLB से ऑलरेडी था, फिर हम दारुल उलूम में हमने पिटिशन करा, वहां से हमें जवाब आया जिससे हम डिससेटिस्फाइड थे। तो आपको किस टाइम पे, कितने महीने बीत गए, कितने साल बीत गए जब आपने फाइनली डिसाइड करा कि हमें सिविल कोर्ट के दरवाजे खटखटाने चाहिए?
टाइम नहीं बीता, एक साल तो नहीं फिलहाल बीता। जैसे ही मुझे इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली और मैंने उलमाओं से बात करी, मतलब जितने भी हाथ पैर पटक सकते थे पटके, जब उन्होंने नहीं माने तो फाइनली हमने उन पे केस करा कि इस तरीके से ये नहीं चलेगा। तो फिर वो स्टेप बाय स्टेप होता रहा।
एंड एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, उस टाइम ट्रिपल तलाक पे स्पेसिफिकली कोई लॉ नहीं था?
कोई लॉ नहीं था, लेकिन हमारे पास जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट थी उसने उनका जो तलाक था उसको इनवैलिड कर दिया और मुझे लीगली उनकी वाइफ का दर्जा दिया, डेजिग्नेशन दिया, क्योंकि उनका कहना था कि इस मतलब जो तलाक उन्होंने दिया है इसको हम नहीं मानेंगे।
ओके,
ठीक है।
आपके एक्सपीरियंस में निदा जी, अगर कोई डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट या कोई और अदालत या पुलिस या जो भी अथॉरिटी होती है स्टेट की, इसकी रिस्पेक्ट, मान्यता रखी जाती है when it comes to the ulema, when it comes to the AIMPLB, क्या वो मानते हैं कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट जो आदेश देगा उसके हिसाब से हमें चलना पड़ेगा? नहीं मानते हैं?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं। उसके बाद जब कोर्ट ने इनवैलिड कर दिया उनका ट्रिपल तलाक, उसके बाद भी उन्होंने किसी तरीके का एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं दिया आज तक, ठीक है। प्लस मतलब कभी भी कुछ भी होता है, मेरा नाम प्रिंट होता है तो वो लड़ाई लड़ते हैं कि उसको आप हमारी वाइफ की डेजिग्नेशन नहीं दे सकते, उसको आप कुछ भी लिखो लेकिन हमारी वाइफ की डेजिग्नेशन नहीं देंगे, जबकि कोर्ट ने मुझे डेजिग्नेशन वाइफ का दिया है। तो इस तरीके से चलता है।
आपके हिसाब से ये जिम्मेदारी रिगार्डिंग मैटर्स लाइक, एक होता है रिचुअल, निकाह का रिचुअल क्या होता है, और हर परिवार में रिगार्डलेस हिंदू, मुस्लिम, क्रिश्चियन, सिख, सबका थोड़ा रिचुअल थोड़ा डिफरेंट होता है। एक तो रिचुअल प्रैक्टिस होती है एट पॉइंट ऑफ मैरिज, जब व्हेन यू हैव अ बर्थ ऑफ अ चाइल्ड, कमिंग ऑफ एज, ये पे रिचुअल्स होते हैं। बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू द लीगैलिटी ऑफ इट, ये जो ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड ने तय किया था कि हम डिसाइड करेंगे, ये देश के कोर्ट्स और कार्यालय नहीं डिसाइड करेंगे, हम डिसाइड करेंगे, क्या हिसाब से अभी 80 साल 70 साल बाद ये अभी भी रेलेवेंट है ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड?
अगर देखिए रेलेवेंट होता ठीक है, तो मेरे ख्याल से जितनी लोगों की प्रॉब्लम्स होती है, बेसिकली वी टॉक अबाउट द मुस्लिम वुमेन्स, तो वो वही अप्रोच करती हैं डायरेक्टली कि भैया हमारा मसला है, हमें कोर्ट वोट जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, फिर गो देयर और वो सॉर्ट आउट कर देंगे। ठीक है, हमारे पास हजारों केसेस चलते हैं कोर्ट में। ठीक है, तो मुस्लिम महिलाएं कोर्ट की जगह फिर उनकी तरफ बैठी होती ना, कहती कि भाई हमारा मसला है, आप हल कर दीजिए, वो ज्यादा बेहतर है, यहाँ तारीख लेने से तो यही अच्छा है ना। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि उन्हें पता है कि ये रेलिवेंट नहीं है। प्लस जो मेंबर, हम जिस सोसाइटी में रहते हैं वो एक मेल डोमिनेटिंग सोसाइटी हो चुकी है, जहाँ लॉर्ड फेयर की बात करी जाएगी आदमी के फायदे के बारे में, औरतों का तो सब सेकेंडरी हो गया है। बिकॉज वो जो सोचते हैं, वो जो उनका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है, वो सिर्फ और मतलब अपनी वाइफ की नजरिए की तरफ से सोचते हैं। वो ये नहीं सोचते कि मेरी बेटी भी हो सकती है, कल को मेरी बहन भी टारगेट हो सकती है, चाहे वो ट्रिपल तलाक हो, चाहे पॉलीगैमी हो। तो इस वजह से ना मुझे लगता है जो बेसिक प्रॉब्लम है वो उनका मेंटल स्टेटस है। ठीक है, वो उसको अपलिफ्ट नहीं कर पाए, जिसकी वजह से आज मुस्लिम महिलाओं का जो लेवल है वो आज तक अपलिफ्ट नहीं हो पाया है।
ओके, व्हाई इज इट दैट देर आर फीमेल उलेमा हैं इंडिया में, ज़्यादा नहीं हैं? AIMPLB का स्ट्रक्चर है कि 50 लोग हैं जो मेन कमेटी में बैठते हैं, फिर 200-250 उलेमा हैं जिसमें आई थिंक 10% इज द नंबर ऑफ वुमेन. Have they done enough to understand the issues, concerns and troubles of the modern Indian Muslim woman?
इफ इट्स सो, तो हमें रोड पे आने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती। ठीक है, हमने सुना है कि किसी गांव में किसी ने प्रधान का इलेक्शन लड़ा, वो फीमेल है, लेकिन उसकी जो राइट्स होती है उसका हस्बैंड चलाता है, वो प्रधान पति कहलाने लगता है। ठीक है, उसी तरीके से जिस पैनल में महिलाएं बैठी हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने अगर ध्यान दिया होता या उनके हाथ में कोई भी पावर होता, तो मेरे ख्याल से हम औरतों को रोड पे आने की जरूरत ही नहीं थी। मुझे आपके सामने बैठने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, हमें रोड पे उतर के झगड़ा करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, हमें फतवे नहीं लेने पड़ते अपने ऊपर। तो मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं वो सिर्फ एक डमी है, उनके हाथ में कुछ नहीं है। दे आर ऑल जस्ट डमी, दैट्स इट।
तो उनका काम क्या है अब आज हालात में? क्योंकि बड़े बड़े नेता लोग, मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, उन्होंने गढ़ बनाई हुई है ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड में, वो वहाँ से अपनी प्रेस्टीज, अपनी पावर उससे डिराइव करते हैं। तो उनका रोल क्या है अब और क्या होना चाहिए
अब क्या होना चाहिए? मुझे लगता है कि जो मुस्लिम बेसिकली बात करी जाए कि अगर मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ की बात है, तो उनको बस ये रहता है, वो डर दिखा के भीड़ जमा करते, ठीक है, डर दिखा के सारा काम कर लेते। तो उन्हें लगता है कि इनसे हमारी पावर ड्राइव हो जाएगी। ठीक है, कल को कोई भी पॉलिटिशियन ले लीजिए, चादर चढ़ाने जाता है, तो क्या उसको पता है कि चादर चढ़ाने का क्या मतलब है? नहीं ना। लेकिन वो है कि उनको पता है कि ये फला है और इनका एक होल्ड होगा सोसाइटी में, इस वजह से वो उन लोगों के पास जाते हैं।
ओके, क्या आखिरी सवाल, क्या आपके हिसाब से ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड शुड आइदर बी डिस्बैंडेड, आगे बने, आगे चलें, ख़त्म करें, या खुद रिफॉर्म करके मॉडर्न डे चैलेंजेस को एम्ब्रेस करें? Okay, I've been unable to ask that last final question, but we've got the gist of the conversation from Nida Khan. Not a fan. Let me introduce our next guest. Joining us on the broadcast is Feroz Bakht Ahmed. Thank you very much for joining us. Feroz Ahmed Bakht, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gulati.
Let me go into this step by step, because there's a premise which we have to address in the larger conversation of the Uniform Civil Code. And the premise is whether a sovereign state in the modern context, when it's meeting the rules, codes, ethics which come derivative from religion, and the body in India which has decided for itself, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, which is just an NGO, it's not a constitutional body, but has decided that it is going to be the decider on these matters and has been supported in the past in the decider of these matters. This body has a conflict of interest, sir. If it agrees to a uniform civil code, then there is no particular legal reason for it to exist. And for those people for 70, 80 years have been running their lives and livelihoods with this at the center, it creates a conflict of interest. So let me ask you, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, what is the role that the All India Muslim Personal Law Board today is performing in this country?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rishabh Gulati, for contacting me. I was just listening to the sorry plight of this girl, Nida, and it really, touched us. It was heartrending. It was really, really very sad the way she told all those details. And all these things actually happen because of the boards of law. I should say boards of no law. All India Muslim Personal Law Board, I call it a board of no law, because nobody has given them the authority to authorize over Muslim community. Problem with Muslim community is that most of us are not educated, and we think, oh, AIMPLB, All India Muslim Personal Law Board, this is some religious body. It takes care of our concerns. It takes care of our existence. All these things, which actually is not there. And you are right when you said this is just like an NGO. It has no stature, it has no statute of its own. And the only thing is that, actually this AIMPLB came into existence because of the mistake of this great Prime Minister of ours, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He codified Hindu laws in 1956. And at the same time, he should have also codified Muslim laws. When he was asked to do that by many other ministers, including Sardar Patel and even Bharat Ratna Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, you know what he said? He said, you look here, let us wait and watch, like what he did with the Kashmir issue. Muslims will take a front to it, and let us wait. It has not happened.
Okay. So my next question, Firoz Bakht Ahmed, there are certain things that we agree on. Doesn't make a difference what faith you are. The union between a man and a woman in marriage is common to all faiths. The rituals, the ceremonies, and in what order that particular act is going to take place is different. Similarly, the dissolution of that union, which you can call divorce or talaq, this also happens. But the formalities with which it happens, and for people watching this broadcast, if you are attending an Hindu wedding, for example, every wedding is going to be slightly different. Some will be 3 hours long, some will be 2 hours long, some will involve fasting, some will involve puja, some will involve havan. Is it different? But once you are married and you register your marriage, the dissolution of that marriage cannot be done by the Pandit who conducted the ceremony. That Pandit is only there for rituals. Now this is a marriage codified in law, and the priesthood, the Pandits, no longer decide what happens next. The courts of the law decide what happens next. So in the contextualization, Firozji, is the All India Muslim Personal Law Board performing a necessary role in modern India?
Rishabh, let me tell you that All India Muslim Personal Law Board is an association which is actually not required at all by Muslim community. Rather than doing something good to the community, it is tarnishing their image. I remember some 10-12 years ago, there was some problem with Nikahnama, right? And they came up with some terrible Nikahnama, it was not accepted. Now, this Muslim Personal Law Board has nothing to do between what happens, say between a woman and a man when they are married. In fact, you are very right, as it happens in Hindu law, that the Panditji has nothing to do after they are married. In the same way, these are, a motley group of people who sometimes go onto the television channels, and they then, right from any or everything till the bedroom of man and woman, they just try to authorize each and every law, which is actually not part of Islamic tenets. They are harming Muslim community a lot. And let me tell you one thing, if, we do not know whether UCC is implemented or not implemented, but if it is implemented, which all of us know, and Muslims are not against they are not against
okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, sir. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Firozji,
just correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that in a Muslim wedding, you either get a qazi who oversees the wedding, or anybody who knows the rituals of how the nikah is done, who is of the faith, can oversee the wedding, but ideally you get a qazi at the wedding. Now the qazi, of course, is telling you where to hold the chaddar and where to send, when to say Kabul hai, and he's guiding you through the wedding process. Why can't the role of the qazi be restricted to that? Why does it also then mean the ulama are going to then issue fatwas, decide right and wrong, which is a practice which has come under dispute, because those people who argue for Muslim law in this country, including members of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, say that the fatwas itself are a judicial practice. They are through jurisprudence. They set precedents. Why can't the role of the qazi be just restricted to conducting the ceremony and the rituals, and that's it?
You are right. The role of the qazi should not be beyond that what they say, Kabul hai, Kabul hai, Kabul hai. And after that, but then, once this, thanks God, thanks this government that it has done away with Triple Talaq, which was done in one sitting in 3 seconds by saying Talaq, Talaq, Talaq. And anyway, very unfortunate thing is that it still exists in the form of Talaq-e-Hasan, which is given with a gap of 3 months. Every month, as happened with this girl, who has a 1.5-year-old child, Benazir Hina. Her husband, who is a lawyer, he asked his friend, another lawyer, to sign these letters for 3 months that he is divorcing her. And this matter is in the Supreme Court, apart from other 7 Muslim women who have been suffering on account of this. So in fact, this qazi has no role. But unfortunately, these people, they rule the roost. They incite the Muslim community. They provoke the Muslim community. They mislead and misguide the Muslim community.
Okay, so the issue is here because there is confusion regarding this, and then let's come to the UCC for a second, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, because the confusion is that an assumption is being made that our rituals, our customs are under threat. That is not correct. How you want to conduct the wedding, in what order, is completely up to the faith in question. Okay,
that's right.
But the assumption is being made that by bringing a codification of a uniform civil code, and a uniform civil code does not mean everybody follows the Hindu Marriage Act or the Hindu Succession Act. It means a new one is created which incorporates rituals and customs of all faiths, but says that after you are married, the procedure of the dissolution of marriage should give you the protection and assistance of the state, which is the courts of jurisprudence. Now, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, if we are to have a uniform civil code, after that, what is the utility of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board?
I am telling you this thing, you see, the utility of Muslim Personal Law Board wasn't there. I think it got established since 1937 or maybe 39. And after the UCC comes, which I think in all probability should come, and it will not impinge on any of the laws, any of the tenets of Muslim religion, of Islamic religion, because it has nothing to do with anything which comes under the ambit of Islam, except the human rights of women. The way women are being under this patriarchal construct, unfortunately, it is to take care of that.
Okay.
How many?
Okay. So I want taking a step by step, Ferozji.
All such things, they are not allowed.
How many people that you know, often refer to seek the guidance of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board and its 50 executive members, board members, and the 200 ulama? Is it often cited that we don't know what to do, the right practice, we have a dispute, and we are going to seek the intervention of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board? How many in your examples, sir? In your anecdotal examples?
I do not have any of those statistics, because hardly any people go there. And if someone goes there, like this lady Nida, they are misguided. They are in fact not only misguided, in fact, they might be harmed in other manners also. So hardly any, because for a Muslim Personal Law Board is nothing. For a Muslim, only 3 parameters are there. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is there, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his hadiths, his teachings are there, and finally the Holy Quran is there. So where does this Muslim personal law board stand?
Okay.
And let me tell you, in most of the Islamic countries, they have their own coded laws. They don't have AIMPLB kind of associations.
Yes.
And
Okay. So then let me ask you I have two more questions, sir. Is the Quran or the Hadiths or even the tradition of fatwas, are they antithetical? Are they in competition or even worse, in conflagration with the modern nation state and the laws of India? Are they incompatible, sir?
Let me tell you one thing. So far as Quranic laws are concerned, these laws are very clear and they are not against the rights of women. They give, equal opportunity to women, whether it is education or whether it is anything else. As far as a woman is concerned, according to Islam, the paradise is under her feet, under the feet of a mother. Now, these, you see, most of the Islamic laws, they have been tempered by the so-called, I myself come from the family of Maulana Bharat Ratna Abul Kalam Azad. Unfortunately, the petty people who call themselves as clerics or Maulanas or Maulvis or Alim or Fazil people, in fact, they have, give a very crumpled
Okay, yeah. So my final question, sir, and we'll sit down and we'll have more of these one-on-one conversations. But at this point of time, my final question: when it comes to the important issue which the country faces, which government can face, which courts can face, and people can face, and people of the Muslim faith, that when we seek guidance and leadership on issues of Islam, where do we go? Now, that's an issue for me in the media. When I began my career, any issue related to Muslims in the country, by default, you were assuming and presuming that you go to the All India Muslim Personal Law Board and its leadership for comments, commentary, advice and thoughts. It is now that we are looking beyond the All India Muslim Personal Law Board to other Muslim intelligentsia and saying that these guys are not the be-all, end-all controllers of everything that comes, that is the view of all Muslims in this country. How do we then either create more such intelligentsia, more such voices, give them space, so that we can understand that the All India Muslim Personal Law Board is a self-appointed authority?
Yes, very good question, and thank you for asking this question as a final question. Now, Mr. Rishabh, let me tell you one thing. So far as AIMPLB is concerned, Personal Law Board is concerned, not only Muslim Personal Law Board, but all the personal law boards, they are making India a divided house. Now the question is, if there is a religious problem or there is some kind of a critical question that arises, to whom the Muslim should go, a Muslim should go. You see, AIMPLB dissolved in no time. People like us have been actually, voicing, our voice of reason, probably, and the voice of sanity, that this Muslim Personal Law Board is the cause of Muslim community in all parameters. It must go. Now, either it should reform itself, or people or clerics who are educated, who really know, there are 20,000 hadiths, and who know Quran well, it should be formed of those people, but surely not the 40-50 members of the.
All right. So now we have to ask our question. Now we have to ask a fundamental question in this country, because all faiths have religious bodies, and I repeat, as I began at the beginning of this conversation, the cardinals in India, the bishops in India are not elected by the people of their constituency. They are not elected by the people of India. They are appointed by the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, and they in turn, the cardinals, go and vote for the election of a new Pope. So there is a parallel structure that exists in the Hindu faiths. The management of temple trusts, think about Vaishno Devi and big temples, are done by the priesthood, many of whom are also under government supervision or government authority. So an equitable system like this, which says that we define what is right and wrong, doesn't exist. And there's a complexity of this question because we have not yet found the correct formula of a modern nation state coming to terms with religio-cultural laws and traditions and morality that precede the era of nation states. Hence, we have this problem. Firoz Bakht Ahmed, for that pointed conversation, thank you. Let me get in our next guest, Taira Hassan. Taira ji, the open logic of understanding has been that when it comes to births and deaths and divorces and marriages and coming of age ceremonies, the deciders on these are members of a particular body which is, in legal context, just an NGO. How did this come to be, ma'am?
You know, we're talking about the Muslim Personal Law Board, which is not relevant at all. So again repeating about the Muslim Personal Law Board. You know, this was an NGO, as you already said, and then Triple Talaq in one go we have seen the role of Muslim Personal Law Board. They never stood with the women. They also, most of the members and the post holders are from this patriarchal society. They just want to control women. This is no doubt they have grip on the community. Still, not I can say at least 30-40% Muslim community, they have grip on the community.
So I have to ask you, ma'am, why? What is it that that 100 million Muslims, why would they seek the help, assistance, guidance? On what kinds of matters do you see people saying, okay, I should seek the guidance of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board?
Actually, you know, because that the Muslims are not literate. Big percentage, as a huge percentage, is not literate. They even don't read their Quran also. Because in the Quran, there was not mentioned once Triple Talaq in one go, but they were just obeying to this personal law board, which were doing un-Islamic, un-Quranic thing, inhuman act. You know, Islam is not doesn't allow to inhuman activities. So their Muslim Personal Law Board is presenting a bad picture of Islam. It can't be Islamic body at all.
But why is it considered? What is the mistake? I am accepting the mistake the media has made, because I have told you when I began my career on all matters related to Muslim issues, you assume that the All India Muslim Personal Law Board members are the senior most authority on those matters. I am trying to correct it. I think Taira Hassan has an opinion, and Mohammad Ali Shah has an opinion, and Firoz Ahmed has an opinion, and others have an opinion. And they are also worked their entire lives on socio-cultural, people-related matters. So my question, Taira ji, is a body which has a conflict of interest, because the day we bring any codification under a modern nation state, any law, it either dilutes, subsumes or eliminates their powers, which should be restricted to just the ritualistic religious aspect. In your marriage, what you will do in terms of rituals is different by religions. A marriage itself has to have a civic sanctity. Will this board of people, which is largely dominated, in fact mostly dominated by men, have a conflict of interest when it comes to the matter of the UCC and other issues, ma'am?
Yes, I will say it's really a very good question. You know, that's why they will never accept the UCC, because they are going to lose their grip on the community. They can't control women. You see that what they have done in the Shabano case, the woman who was abandoned by the Triple Talaq after the 45 year of her marriage, it was such an inhuman act. And after that, she went to court, and court ordered 125 rupees only. And this was seen by Personal Law Board, Muslim Personal Law Board, as interference in Sharia. What Sharia they are talking about? Which Sharia they are talking about? I mean, they are just degrading Islam also. That's why I'm saying this is an NGO, pure NGO. They have nothing to do with Islam. They have nothing to do with humanity. They don't want to do upliftment for the women. They never raise voice for the education of women. And what happens to women after they are abandoned after Triple Talaq? They never raised voice against this also. So I think this is going to close. ये दुकान बंद होने वाली है.
Okay, लेकिन दुकान बंद नहीं हो रही है. So ma'am, Taira ji, we obviously have to have an understanding that the religious and cultural practices of a very large community of Muslims in India, which is 200 million strong and is divided across various versions of the faith who have their own interpretation, just like Hinduism and Christianity have hundreds of different interpretations and rituals and customs, that these customs and traditions, ma'am, need to be protected for sure. They need to be better understood, passed on to the next generation. How can we do this part better while at the same time the people, as you mentioned, who are running a dukan are replaced by more progressive people, more progressive and forward looking organizations?
Yes, of course, this is when the Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, after independence, when he just introduced to Hindu Code Bill, I mean, he felt it could be a part to gender justice, but he also faced lots of opposition, and then Nehru ji after that passed it in 4 phases. So I think it's very important. It's a question of gender justice. So all the personal laws, because all personal laws are anti-women, so all personal laws must be codified. Rituals we are going to protect. It will pass from one generation to another generation. But the injustice which is existing, the discriminatory laws which are existing, must be reformed first immediately.
Okay, so can we trust the All India Muslim Personal Law Board to have an epiphany? They can say, okay, 50% of our membership in our executive committee, our board, our ulama will be women. We will re-examine all the issues that women bring to us, and we will take a leadership in a progressive outlook. Can we trust the All India Muslim Personal Law Board to undertake in such a path?
No, I can't. I'm talking about myself.
Okay.
I can't trust.
Okay.
As a woman, I can't trust. Because I have been fighting, I have been, I fought for against the Triple Talaq in one go from 2008. I started this my fight against it. So I can't trust.
Okay, so if they can't reform, they either become irrelevant. So the question then, ma'am, is what is the alternative mechanism that we need to fight, even though as we discuss UCC, which may happen, may not happen, because UCC, devil is in the detail. The concept is one conversation, detail is the other conversation. But within this, how do we create a better mechanism that when it comes to culture, tradition, ritual, practice, that these can be preserved, protected, passed on to a new generation of people effectively, while the issues of gender justice, rights, civic rights are dealt with separately?
I think the personal laws must be codified, and the rituals will transfer from one generation to another generation. Qazi will recite the Nikah-nama. After that, his action will be restricted. He is not going to participate into talaq also, because that will be through the law of the land. When the criminal laws are common, why so much hue and cry in that?
Okay.
I'm talking about all religions. All religions have personal laws which are anti-women, Okay. So we need a progressive laws.
Okay.
We need for the upliftment of women.
Okay.
It should not be only lip service.
The reason I'm having this conversation is for people watching the broadcast, that for some reason, when it comes to a representation of the voice of a very large community and a complex community of Muslims in India, an assumption is made, and I can promise you it's true in the media, it's true in the government, even in the judiciary. I mean, the AIMPLB guys, even in all sorts of judicial matters, they also get involved. So in the main branches of the pillars of the state, executive, judicial, legislative, or because the AIMLB, PLB members are also MPs. And in media, which is the fourth pillar, the assumption has been made in the past that these people are the representatives, the spokespersons, and the last word. And I am trying to tell you today is that if you only invite the All India Muslim Personal Law Board on the table on these complex matters, they, by the definition of their job, role, power and responsibility, have a conflict of interest. Why would they want to support a measure that would undermine their claim to power and influence in the Muslim community? It's a thought I'm going to leave you with. Tairaji, thank you. Let me pick this up with our next guest, Major Mohammad Ali Shah, on the broadcast with us. Major Shah, I began this telecast now 50 minutes ago by pointing out that the nation state, the modern nation state, is a very young concept in the history of the world. In our particular example, it dates back only 80 years. Religion, many religions, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, all precede the concept of a nation state. All religions try to give us a code of ethics, morality, right, wrong. Some do it through commandments, some do it through laws, some do it through books. Now, when we are living in a modern nation state, and we have to now find that point of meeting between tradition, culture, practice of religion and the laws of a modern nation state, how do we take a step closer, sir?
Okay, Rishabh, that's a very good question. Firstly, I think the Muslim community has to be prepared for certain reforms. Reforms are very, very essential to move forward. We cannot have what we were living as early man earlier. We can't have it today as well. Like, for example, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he abolished sati. It was a reform which was made in the Hindu community. Similarly, there are a lot of reforms which have to be made in the Muslim community as well. And I welcome the Uniform Civil Code. I think you cannot have different laws for different people who reside in the same country. Now, having said that, I would like to tell you a bit about the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. Firstly, as you rightly mentioned, they have no legal powers. It's an NGO. It was founded in early 1970s. In fact, in 1972, 73, in fact, by Mohammad Tayyib Kazmi and Midatullah Rahmani in Hyderabad. Now, the very fact, as you rightly brought out, once again, they have 51 ulemas in their body, and they have 201% of ulema as well as 25 women in them. And their prime concern, their prime responsibility is looking after marriage, divorce, inheritance, and such kind of laws, which would be redundant when if UCC comes in. So it would be that's their prime concern. And the board consists of members such as scholars, legal experts, representatives of various Islamic organizations across India, in fact. So all that will be null and void once the UCC comes across, because when the UCC comes in, it will be, okay, you are governed by these laws, not by these laws, right? Because that's the Islamic law is Sharia law. Now, I'll equate it quickly, parallelly. I'll give an analogy over there, Rishabh. The very fact is that, when my father was the Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University, he inducted a bridge course over there. Bridge course was what? It was bridging the gap between the madrasa education and modern education, which means now the madrasa students would learn English, computers, maths, science, deen ki padhai nahi, dunyadari ki bhi padhai. But which was opposed by who? By the Maulanas. Why? Why was it opposed? It was opposed because when the Maulanas found that, okay, the bridge course, a person would be willing to, he would probably be a doctor, engineer, he would earn. Earlier, he would live off zakat. Now he would be in a position to give more zakat than he would earn. So it was opposed, because then the value of the Maulanas there would depreciate. Similarly, now with all respect to All India Muslim Personal Law Board, I would not give a harsh statement by abolishing it. No, by the very fact, when we get UCC, I welcome UCC, and I think the Muslim community should not see it like a religious angle. They should see it as a reform. In fact, there are 30 tribes as well, including the Adivasi tribe, the famous Adivasi tribe, who have opposed it. In fact, I don't think UCC is something to oppose. It's something to actually have the same laws.
No, like but there's an issue. No, the issue which I'm trying to address here, and the reason I'm having this conversation, it's a lengthy conversation with a group of individuals, Major, is that, as I've just mentioned, the assumption has been made in government, which is the executive, the legislature, many times in the judiciary, where the All India Muslim Personal Law Board or its members form subcommittees and implead themselves into the case, and even in the media, that a certain group of these 50, 60, 70, 100, 200 individuals, of which only 4 or 5 call the shots, we know who the 4 or 5 are, that these are the representatives of the voice of the Muslim community in India, when that is not true. So now, do these individuals have a conflict of interest when they are called to discuss on the table or when they are called on media panels, because their power and authority seems to stem from the belief that they get to decide what happens in your divorce or in your marriage, and when we tell them, no, you don't decide, the courts decide, why would they be wanting to abrogate those powers?
Right, absolutely. You have a point of that, exactly. Because when they feel that the court decides, people don't decide, their powers would obviously diminish. And that's the reason why the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, they oppose the UGC. Because then it's like, it is like having, again, for everyone to understand an analogy, where I have certain powers, if someone comes and undermines my power, I may not like it. So that is the reason why they were liking it. But if you talk about progressiveness, if you talk about reforms, if you talk about equal right for women, if you talk about women empowerment, I think a reform is very much essential, and I think UCC must not be opposed.
So then the next obvious question, sir, why has the reform not come from within? You've had the Shah Bano was mentioned, Nida was sitting with us, she was a pioneer of the Triple Talaq fight, many others, we profiled here on NewsX who have suffered, which means their families have suffered. Mothers, sisters, brothers have seen the plight and they've suffered. They've suffered financially, mentally, and otherwise. Some are, have fatwas against them, religious excommunication. Some, of course, have to fear physical harm. For some reason, because the reform has not come, therefore, a feeling comes that it is being imposed, and I can understand where that feeling comes from. Ideally, the reform should come from within, and we can have a much more calm, happier, progressive, practical conversation. But whenever something feels imposed, even though it might be good or bad, it feels like it's coming from without. So how can we encourage the reform from within, sir?
Right. Sorry, Rishabh, I'm so sorry. Extremely sorry about that. Now, the fact is, Rishabh, I feel the society will not change unless and until we change our own selves. The change starts from here, from within. And now when we have people like Tahira Hassan, we have Rozbak Ahmad, we have a voice when Muhammad Ali Shah, you have got the Muslim voices. And I think we are saying the UCC we cannot have different rules for different people. Suppose you have an office in Okhla, and you reside in Okhla, and I reside in Gurgaon. You cannot give me the laxity of coming an hour late just because I stay 2 hours away. I have to punch and I have to log in at the same time when everyone else does. So we can't have different laws for different people in the same place. Similarly, now when we talk about the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, well, I'll be very, very honest with you. You asked a question to one of the panelists, how many people do you know who have consulted the All India Muslim Personal Law Board? Frankly speaking, if I have to ask that, I don't know anyone. And I did not know much about this body as well. I'll confess that as well. I did not know much about that body. Only when I had to study it. And when I studied it, I got this data, this information from there.
Yeah, but morning, evening, night, they're sitting on television. They're being asked for advice from government. They sit in the committees, they argue and become impleaded parties in all the important court cases. So this is what I'm finding strange, that an organization which is extremely patriarchal, it's dominated by the men, okay? You'll find it very difficult to hear a woman voice in the All India Muslim Personal Law Board speaking on any matter. They do have some members. Do you know any? Who are the members?
No, I don't know any.
Yeah, so I'm asking the public, can you think of any woman member of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board? The answer will be no. You can only think of one or two who have decided that they are the voices of the Muslim people because they won one particular Lok Sabha seat from one particular city. That's not true. So here is the conundrum, several conundrums that we're trying to solve. The biggest one I have tried to delineate in this, that a modern nation state which is very young in the historiography of the world has to now understand how to bring hundreds, if not thousands of years of religious practices, codifications, ethics, moralities and laws under the ambit of a uniform system. you will find many commonalities: marriage, birth, divorce, death. These are true of all humans. We are all going to die regardless of what faith we belong to. The rituals regarding this are different. The beliefs regarding this are different. Those are different from the practical aspects of the laws regarding this. And if we bring parties onto the table that have a conflict of interest, because by agreeing to something they are disempowering their own perceived authority, why would they speak in favor? Now, an All India Muslim Personal Law Board in 2023 should be sitting and saying, we are looking to reform, modernize Muslim thought in this country. We will start with ourselves. We will ask ourselves, why are 50% of our representatives not women? Why is 50% of the ulama not women? And this is applicable in all faiths. In the Christian faith, why should 50% of the priests not be there? In the Hindu faith, why shouldn't they be there? And that will become progressive reform. That will also become a better circumstance, because no perception will be created through misinformation that an imposition is happening. That would be the ideal world. Unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world. So I'll end this telecast by requesting the people who have been watching or will see this is to ask yourself, what use is the All India Muslim Personal Law Board? What authority does it actually have? Who gave it that authority? What do you go to the All India Muslim Personal Law Board? Who are the people there? Is it considered to be a patriarchy driven society? Is it open to reform? Is it performing a role of just continuing its own influence, or does it actually want the benefit and development of the Muslims of this country? If you ask the right questions, you will force the people who have decided themselves that they are the voices to maybe bring about progressive change. And that's what we want, progressive change. They are not easy questions. I have not come to you with any easy answers, but I have hopefully come with some right questions.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.